Okay, this is Photoshop, Intro to Photoshop, and this is an explanation on the double exposure project. If you're starting this project, you obviously want to go through the how-to videos to use Photopea if you are an online learner. If you're in class, and obviously you're using Photoshop. The double exposure project is a project basically for you to learn how to do a couple of things. One is to learn how to delete a background. And the other thing is how to combine elements. And elements are just objects or things in your piece. So this one is called double exposure. And one of the things that you're going to need before you start anything is a theme. And we really want to start with a theme because the theme will help you find your images, give you ideas of what you want to do faster. And what I mean by a theme is something that your images are based on, a subject matter. So the subject matter could be fall, the subject matter could be skateboarding, a sport, fashion, a type of fashion. Subject matter could be anything you want. Now, do you have to have a theme to start? Not necessarily. You could start just by looking for an image, one of the images that, let's say, if you have one in mind or one that stands out to you, and that can lead to a theme. Um, Let me show you what I have. And I mainly started this because of this picture. Let me single down to that, just that photo. A picture that I've seen a lot on the internet that I've used for examples. One of the reasons I use this picture is because of the hair and how hard it is to cut this hair away from a background. But the image has some interesting qualities. She definitely looks like she's distrusting. And that kind of led to my theme. My theme started to become about, just people. When I thought about a city, and I thought about putting them together, it just made me think of, like, just how people act in a city. And sometimes you don't know how people feel and about emotions, and cities are just filled with a lot of different people. And it just made me, connect to these two images. And once I started going with that, the idea of, like, the cities and the dangers of a city and just the disconnection between people in the city. I know that's more of a complicated theme, but obviously you can simplify your theme. I basically started adding on to it. And so as we talk about themes, like I said, you could do it really, really simple. I'm almost thought of this as almost like a movie poster, and just thought about a story of something very, very like a drama or something like that. And that's the direction I went through. But you could start off very, very simple. It could just be about fall leaves. It could be about hiking. It could be about anything. Once you have your theme, or you figure out your theme, you have 5 elements that you need to have for this piece. One of them is a portrait. So a portrait I picked is obvious. The other one is a place. I picked a city. And what I find out, I think my city is in Southeast Asia. And then I have a background. And then I pick a word and a freed element. Most of these things are pretty basic. A freed element, it's just a terminology that I created to explain a freed element. So a freed element for me is these birds. Let me actually give a background so you could see them. So these birds that are there have absolutely no background. So they are basically freed, or I would, another way of saying it would be a image without a background. But they also do look like they could be part of the background that already exists. So you want it to be something not completely random, but it could be some floating balloons or something like that. The dark birds kind of made sense for my theme. Obviously, I have a portrait, and one of the things you're doing with the portrait is that you are cutting out the city. This is where your double exposure comes in. You have a city, and you have to cut it out in the shape of the portrait. So here is that. And then you're going to add a background. I painted the background black and then added a gray version of the city, right? And then I added a word. and I added the word empire because the word empire, I'm thinking of cities and towers. And as you can see, I actually changed the shape of my letters to be stretched out almost like the city buildings, really tall and stretched out. And then my final touch was these small birds, almost like my freed element that kind of connects to the city in some way, shape, or form. Um, so these are my five elements: my portrait, my place, which is a cityscape, landscape, background, which goes in the back. Now you don't have to use the same city over again, but you want something that you either change it so it looks different, so it doesn't confuse with what's inside the double exposure. My word is empire, and my freed element is these birds. So we have all five elements, and that's kind of the whole idea, is how to combine these things. As you go through the how-to videos, it'll explain how to do each part. Most important thing is to have the five images and the theme. Now, could you change your images as you go? Absolutely. The meaning of your theme and the direction of your theme can change as you get your images and you find certain images. All right. So start with your theme, and then start picking one image at a time and try to make sure you stick to your theme so you have a consistent communication about your image. So that's it. So next, when you want to do the how-to videos, the how-to videos will explain how to combine these things, how to cut out backgrounds, and how to do all the other parts of this project.